Hi all, welcome back to Rustaholic. I'm Patrick and we're still working on this 1963 Chevrolet Corvair, and we're continuing to have fuel issues. Originally, my first inclination was try to go to a mechanical system. That didn't work. Now I'm reverting, trying to get back to an electric pump system, and we're close. In the last episode, I got a really nice kit from Racers Inc., installed it. Initially, I am getting the 3 PSI that we're looking for, but over time, it runs out of PSI and dies. And initially, I was thinking this is the pump's issue. After talking to Craig, real nice guy, he's telling me, hey, this is pretty rare. I really haven't had any issues after selling hundreds and hundreds of these things. So I'm starting to look back and think about what my original setup was in the car. And originally, this car setup was an electric pump, that had a return line, filter with a return line, and then went to the carbs, and that return line went all the way back to the tank. And the reason we put that return line in is because we were having some vapor lock issues. Now I know a lot of people don't have those issues with the Corvair, even in really hot environments. I don't know what it is, but I'm down here in Florida and I was having some issues with that, and that cured it, and that actually worked for several years. The electric pump that I had in there was overpowered, so it could compensate for the return line in that filter. So today we're going to do something very similar, trying to bring it back to that, because it could be that over time that vapor lock is just shutting down my fuel pressure, and eventually I run out of gas. So just to make sure that that's not the issue and that it is actually the pump, if it's the pump, we're going to put a return line back in. So very excited to do it. Let's jump into it. First thing I think we're going to do is go ahead and pull some stuff out of the car, and I'll show you what I've got here. Okay, real quick, this is what I'm going to be taking out. I'm going to go ahead and pull the regulator out. I'll disconnect it here, probably leave it connected there, but disconnect it on this side here. We'll just pull this whole thing out, and then we'll be able to reconfigure it exactly the way that we want it. Yep, let's do it. Okay, we've got it out, and these are the new pieces here. Here's basically the plan. Is the fuel comes in here and then goes out here to the carbs. I want to add this T right in here and create a return line that goes back to the tank, which would be similar to my other setup. The other setup that I had was an actual filter, and both of those lines were 3/8 going in and 3/8 going out. So there was really like no restriction whatsoever. It was just pushing as much as it could, and whatever didn't get into the carbs went into the tank, but it was constantly just flowing into the tank. What I want to do this time is not have a full filter, and I'm going to restrict this return line. So hopefully most of the pressure is going to be going to the regulator, which should regulate it still at 3 PSI, and only some of it is going to be going through the return line, which is going to be a 1/8 OD. Well, this is a brake line that I've straightened out, but it's going to work for our purposes. We'll get it here. This will get it restricted at least until it gets behind the firewall, and then we'll connect it to our existing 3/8 line on that other side using this thing here. So that's the plan in a nutshell, and that should get us to be able to do a pretty quick test and see if it is indeed a vapor lock issue. Even if the PSI drops from 3 to 2, if it can maintain 2 PSI for more than an hour, then I think we've proven our theory. So anyway, let's get to it. Bam, that's pretty much it, mocked up. I think that will work because I should still be able to get to this and this from over the top. That was my main concern and why I wanted to push this out a little bit. I could push it a little bit further. Let's see. I could push it further, but do I need to? Probably not. Probably not. I kind of like how tight all of that is, so let's try to do this, and then that keeps everything nice and clean also. All right, let's do that. All right, I think that's it. We're gonna still put this on in a minute because we are going to need to do a little bit of straightening, a little bending, I mean, but overall, I think that is what I'm looking for. So let's tighten this up and let's go try it in the car. Okay, we got it. I think this is gonna be good enough, but what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put this line on here, because I think it's gonna be pretty tight underneath there. I'm gonna feed it through. We gotta get this wheel off. We gotta get the car on the ground. But yeah, it's gonna go there, so. Okay, here we are underneath the rig here. It's a little bit of a mess down here, but this is our new line coming out. And this here is my return line that's still intact. And I think what we're really gonna do is we just need to connect these two. So the idea is basically this. Basically just gonna throw that in there, connect these two up for now, and we should have that connected and we can run a test. So, okay, quick update. I realized that my existing return line is not actually 3/8, it's a little bit smaller. And because of that, and it's long enough, it was actually able to reach my little brake line metal connection there. So I didn't actually have to cut it. So I pushed it through up there and connected it at the top. So I think at this point we have a complete system. I tightened everything up. Before I put this tire back on, let's turn it on, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then I think we can actually run a test. Okay, running a quick leak test, and I've got one leak right there, right at my connection. So I was a little worried about that, even though that that line's a little bit smaller than 3/8. It's still a little bit too big to get a nice seal on that 1/8 line. So gonna have to make an adjustment there, but getting close though. I could hear it going back into the tank, so that's something. Okay, leak check, take 2. Seems okay here. Ended up using a different kind of union right here, but seems like we're good. It's not leaking. All right, see if we're getting any PSI readings. And we're getting 2, deadhead 2, and that is with the return line going back to the tank. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I can hear it going back to the tank. So we have a full cycle and we got no leaks, and I got 2 PSI at the gauge. So let me put this thing back together and let's do another test. At least this one's pushable. Clear. That test just like last time. I'm going to run it for about an hour. Let's see if it'll maintain 2 PSI. first checkpoint, I think, was about 20 minutes. That's when you really started it to see it drop. So we'll come back in 20 minutes and we'll see where we're at. Hope this works. Not good. So it's been 5 minutes. I really came out just to rev it, but it's already in the danger zone. So, but that's okay. I kind of half expected that because that pump max is 4 psi. So the old pump that I used to have was a little bit overpowered to compensate for that. So I have a plan B. I went ahead and got a different pump. Not because I don't think this racer one is doing what it's supposed to do, at least not with this test, but I want to see if, well, crap, if I switch out the pump, then I don't have a valid test. But I think at this point, this pump isn't going to work for me, at least in this current configuration. And I think that if I get another pump, and I can get at least 3 psi, or even 2, I'd live with 2 if it can stay steady. I'd be good with that, but it's got to go over an hour. So let's try this other pump, see what we can do. All right, back in a bit. So here's my old pump. It's a carboil apparently, and the flow is that way. And so I went back on Amazon, figured out where I bought this thing from, found it, bought it again, and so now I have the exact same pump. It's a new pump. I am going to extend it a little bit further. And that is just to make sure that I don't have to make any adjustments to the rubber lines under the car. So I'll be able to take out the existing pump, put this one right back into its place without doing any other modifications. So if I decide I want to put that other pump back in, I can without any issues. So that's what we're going to go with. And now this wasn't overpowered. So this one here was 5 to 9 psi. Now previously I did have a return line, but the return line filter itself was a really big canister, and it had the same orifice going in basically as it did going out. So that flow going through was quite a bit. In the new setup, we've restricted the flow on the return line. So we're hoping that that is going to prevent it from pushing as much, and hopefully we'll up our PSI at the carbs. Anyway, that's the plan. Let's get to it. I got to make this one look like this one and get this all sealed up. So here we go. It's installed. I'm gonna push this thing out. Let's see what kind of PSIs we get now. I suppose we should at least turn it on. I hear it and see, make sure it's not leaking anywhere. It's not leaking, but it's making itself known. Can you hear it from there? Oh man. Compared to the racer's pump, that thing is just obnoxious. Alright, I haven't turned it on yet, but the deadhead reading is struggling. I'm gonna go ahead and start it. Hopefully that'll pull some more fuel through it. Something's not right. No good. Shite. So I could hear it draining into the tank from the return line. So I had an idea. I just crimped the return line back here where it's rubber. And now let's turn it back on and see if we get any PSIs. Here's the deadhead version. Yep, lots of PSIs. So my restriction return line is not restricted enough. Need to go back to the drawing board on that one. Alright, I yanked this out pretty quick. And I was looking at this. And I'm trying to compare. Let's see. I'm considering something like this. The two inner dimensions are quite different, and the smaller one might get me the restriction I'm looking for. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, if I haven't said it before, this pipe flaring tool is my new favorite. I love this thing. I was able to take that copper, give myself a couple nice flares, even use the old fitting. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see. I'm gonna put this in real quick. Let's see if we get any leaks and see if this smaller inner diameter will give me any better restrictions. I don't know, it's worth a shot. All right, team, it's installed. Let's do the deadhead test and see, one, if we get any leaks, and two, do we get any PSI? All right, it's pumping. No leaks there. Doesn't seem to be leaking. But also, no PSI. It just doesn't even make any difference. That's definitely a smaller orifice. Seems to make no difference. Just going through it faster, I guess. Okay, what are we gonna do now? So I've been messing with this clamp a little bit just to see if I could prove a point that if you can get just the right amount of restriction, you can get the PSI you want. So let me show you what I've got going on here. Yeah. I've just got a vice grip on it, and I was just like crimping it, turning it a quarter turn, crimping it quarter turn until I finally got some PSI. But it's literally so close that it's like 1/8 of a turn, I get all the PSI, 1/8 of a turn back, I get like half the PSI, or another 1/8 and I get nothing. So it's a very small window, and our current setup isn't hitting it. So we're gonna try again. I have another idea. And to be totally honest, AI says, sounds like a great idea, but it's not gonna work. What if you regulate the return line? Seems like a lot, doesn't it? But sometimes the car needs what the car needs. I'm just trying to do what it's asking for, so I don't know. All right, let me think about that for a while. In the meantime, I did get the gasket in, so I might just install that just to save some time, and so we can still move forward here. All right, I'll be back in a bit later. All right. I'm still thinking about that restriction line. I could just crimp the metal line itself. That would do it. But that would be tricky because there's no going back. Can't just undo it. So you'd have to do it pretty slowly. It would be one shot. If you go too far, that's it. That line's ruined. Huh. Still possible. It's a beautiful day today. Hopefully it's nice where you're at. Hopefully this car runs. Come on. All right, we're back. And I got the pan all cleaned up and ready to go. Same with underneath the car, so I think we're good. We've got our new gasket here. And I'm gonna be using this Hylamar Universal Blue gasket and joining compound. I've never used this stuff before, so it's going to be new to me. Apparently this stuff is really good. People in the Corvair forums really seem to like it. It's kind of a little bit different though. It never cures, apparently. So you're supposed to do a thin coat on all surfaces. So we're going to do inside gasket onto the pan. But before you actually attach it, it's supposed to let the solvent evaporate. So we're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. It should get tacky on both sides. Then we'll connect it, and then we'll do the same under the car. So, yep. All right, let's get started. Not sure how much is supposed to go on, and I know I'm going to try to smear it for a nice even coat. But let's just see how this first initial batch goes. Kind of an interesting consistency. Probably put too much, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to get like a nice even coat all the way around. It's nice that you have a lot of working time because it essentially never cures, so you're gonna be all right. You don't have that anxiety. Whew, it's already feeling tacky. I think I want a little bit more here. Otherwise, I think we're good. We're just gonna probably let that sit for another 10 minutes or so. And then we'll get it together. We're back. It's been 10 minutes, so we're gonna attach it. Ooh, sticky. All right, that's that. Put it on the car. I like to just finger tight all of them at first, just to make sure they can all have access. They're all threaded. And then I'll go in with the torque wrench. I think I'll start at 35 pounds, inch pounds, not pounds, inch pounds. And then go to like 50 after that. And then we should be good. This one's a little tight for some reason. Don't like that. All right, that's round one. I'm just gonna let it sit like that for a few minutes, maybe 5. And then we're gonna come back and tighten it back up to 50 inch pounds. Well, I needed more. At least I'm filtering it. Is it still an oil change? You don't actually change all the oil? I think so.